All right, here's something nobody tells you. Most people think you become rich the day you start making a lot of money. Big paycheck, ka-ching, you've made it. But that's not how it actually works. Becoming wealthy isn't one moment, it's 7 stages. 7 psychological shifts that almost every wealthy person goes through in the same order. I spent years as a financial advisor watching people climb this exact ladder and watching the same people get stuck on the same rungs over and over. So today I'm walking you through all 7 with the real math and the mindset shift behind each one. By the end, you'll know exactly which stage you're standing on right now and the one move to reach the next one. Let's get into it. Stage 1 isn't a budget, it's a feeling. It's the moment you realize your paycheck by itself is never going to make you rich. You finally get the raise you chased, and somehow you're just as broke. The bills grew right along with the income. Meanwhile, a coworker buys a house, a friend quits their job, and you're sitting there doing the same commute, same Tuesday, same overdraft text at 11 p.m. Here's why this stage matters. Every wealthy person I've met can point to a moment where they stopped accepting their reality. My version, I was 23, making $38,000, eating dinner standing over the sink, and it hit me that I could grind at that job for 10 years and still never feel free. Takeaway: don't run from that frustration. Bottle it. That discomfort is fuel, and it's the one stage you genuinely can't fake. Stage 2 is your first real move, and most people make it wrong. The instinct after stage 1 is to start clipping coupons and skipping the $6 latte. And look, I'm Chinese American. My dad grew up so poor in Shanghai that a plain steamed bun, a mantou, was a treat. Saving is in my blood. But you cannot cut your way to wealthy on a small income. At some point, you stop chasing pennies and start becoming valuable, because your income is just a reflection of the size of the problems you can solve. Sales, coding, marketing, investing, writing, running a business, those quietly pay 6 figures because they move the needle for someone willing to pay. Naval Ravikant calls this specific knowledge. Quick math, a $15 an hour skill caps you around $30,000 a year. $100 an hour skill, copywriting, closing deals, over that same 2,000 hours is $200,000. Same hours, different problem solved. Takeaway: this year pick one high-income skill and get dangerous at it. That's your real raise. Stage 3 is your first $10,000 saved and invested. And I know, 10 grand doesn't buy a mega yacht, doesn't even buy the little dinghy that goes behind the mega yacht. But this stage was never about the money, it's about proof. For most of your life, money's felt like water. It shows up, it disappears, you're not totally sure where. The first 10 grand is the first time you look down and go, wait, I did that on purpose. That's the jump from consumer to investor. The number that gets you there is your savings rate, the slice of income you keep. Save 20% of a $50,000 salary, and that's 10 grand in a single year. The psychology of money, the fidelity studies, every serious source lands on the same boring truth. Your savings rate matters more than your income or your investment returns. Takeaway: automate it. Set an auto transfer the day your paycheck hits so you never see the money and never lean on willpower.
Stage 4 is the big one, your first $100,000. There's a famous Charlie Munger line, Warren Buffett's late right-hand man, where someone asked him the secret, and he basically said, the first 100 grand is brutal, but you've got to get it, no matter what. Why does it matter so much? Because this is where your money stops being a passenger and becomes an employee. Watch this. $5,000 in a savings account at 4% earns you about $200 a year, a nice dinner. But $100,000 in a simple S&P 500 index fund, which is just buying a tiny slice of America's 500 biggest companies in one click, has historically averaged somewhere around 8 to 10% a year. Huge disclaimer, past returns aren't a promise, and any single year can be ugly. But on average, that's roughly $8,000 to $10,000 a year your money makes while you sleep. A part-time employee you never have to manage. At $100K, you stop making desperate decisions. You stop taking the bad job out of fear. Takeaway: keep buying the index fund. Every paycheck, boring and automatic, until your money out-earns your panic. Stage 5 is where the wealthy stop trading time for money. And honestly, this is the stage most of you are really here for. Up to now, you've earned by selling hours. The problem with hours is you only get 24, and you're already spending a chunk sleeping and hopefully occasionally dating. Leverage is how you break that cap. Naval breaks it into 3 kinds. Other people's time, you hire a team; capital, your money goes to work, which is exactly what stage 4 unlocked; and code and media, things that work for you while you sleep, like a business, a channel, a product. A plumber earns only while he's holding the wrench. A guy who films himself fixing pipes and builds a channel earns while he's on vacation. Same skill, totally different leverage. The key idea? The rich don't work harder forever. They build things that work without them. Takeaway: look at your income and ask one question. Does it stop the second I stop? If yes, your next mission is to bolt one form of leverage onto the skill you built in stage 2. Stage 6 is the one nobody posts about because it isn't sexy: keeping the money. You'd think once you're earning a lot, you're safe. You are not. By one often-cited Sports Illustrated estimate, a huge share of NFL players hit serious money trouble within a couple of years of retiring. Guys who made millions. How? Lifestyle inflation. Every time the income went up, the spending matched it. Bigger house, a car that costs as much as a small condo, grabbing every check to look like the guy who made it. The millionaire next door studied actual millionaires and found most of them are gloriously boring. Modest homes, used cars, no flexing. They got rich by playing world-class defense. Quick contrast? Looking wealthy and being wealthy are opposites. The flashy car is the receipt for the wealth you just handed away. Takeaway: when your income jumps, keep your lifestyle flat for a beat and funnel the raise straight into investments. Give yourself the raise instead of giving it to a dealership. Stage 7 is the finish line, and it's quieter than you'd think. This is where money becomes invisible. You stop thinking about survival and start buying back your time. There's a rule of thumb called the 4% rule, the rough idea that you can pull about 4% of your invested money each year and reasonably expect it to last. So a $1 million portfolio throws off around $40,000 a year without you touching the principal. That's not never work again rich, but it might be never do work you hate again rich. And that's the whole point. You choose where you live, what you work on, who you do it with. My dad went from a plain steamed bun in Shanghai to having a kid who makes videos about money for a living. And the thing he's proudest of isn't a car. It's that nobody owns his Tuesdays. Here's the big idea to carry out. The final stage of wealth isn't owning expensive things. It's reaching the point where money is no longer the one making your decisions. So there they are. Pain, skills, your first 10 grand, your first 100 grand, leverage, protection, and freedom. And if you remember just one thing, make it this: every single stage was won the same way. Not with a lottery ticket, not a hot stock tip, not one giant paycheck, but with your savings rate and a boring decision repeated on purpose, paycheck after paycheck, until your money got strong enough to fight for you. Money was never the goal. Money's just the tool, and the prize is a life where you stop being controlled by it. So figure out which stage you're standing on today and go take the one step to the next one. That's the whole game. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.